Hey, Mike.
Dude,
So I got a question. What are those
I think I have
Longhorns
an
afraid
answer.
of?
Missing church.
Missing church? I think they're just a bunch of ducks waiting to be hunted. So let's get this party started, man.
Welcome to 4thand10U, the home of college football for everyone. Whether you're a die-hard fan who lives for Saturdays or just getting into the game, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and join the team. This is 4thand10U, where every play is a chance to make history.
Nonsense! The best map ever.
I think you're muted, buddy. It's okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it going. This is a later than scheduled episode of 4thand10U. So thank you for being patient with us. I'm sure this will probably go up Saturday afternoon, right around noon, just so everybody knows. But it's Memorial Day week, right? We had that over the weekend. How was your Memorial Day, Mike? How was everything? Do anything fun, exciting?
I cooked out for one of my girlfriend's friends and our kids, and so it was cool. We made with hot dogs and burgers. Good conversation.
Good. That's awesome. I just want to say this before we continue. If you have family members that served and lost their life giving their lives up for our country, or anybody that is currently in the armed forces or is a veteran, friends, family, or other, I appreciate their service. I just want to say that out. I know I've told you I'm fourth generation military in my family, and I appreciate the service that people before me and the people that I served with and the people after me. I really appreciate everybody and what they've done. So thank you.
And
Um,
my dad did. My dad did 27 years. I did a little bit myself, and my grandfather was in, and his grandfather was in. So it's same here.
yeah, it's for me. It was my. It's kind of crazy. It's my grandfather and family before him, right? My grandfather, his son, his brothers, right, and their kids, and then me and all of my cousins all joined up and went through training camp and went through tech school and everything all together in the Air National Guard.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's funny how like each generation you have someone joining, and I already know for a fact it looks like my cousin's kid is looking to join now, that be the next generation. So
Awesome.
it's pretty cool to see that keep moving. Um, but yeah, I didn't do anything very much. We spent time with family. We cooked out like you did, and just had good conversation. That's pretty much what we did for Memorial Day, and everything. So it wasn't very big. I want to say I do more on like 4th of July, maybe Labor Day. I do a lot more than I normally would. The streets were very busy though. Everybody was in the streets going shopping, trying to get to the mall and get all those sales and everything. I just gotta. Sometimes you gotta take a step back to remember that Memorial Day is about memorializing the people that lost their lives to keep our freedom, right? Um, that's something we have to remember. It's not just a holiday to go party. It's a holiday to mourn, people that lost their lives, in the wars and stuff of past and in the present. So that's something to take away and just remember. But I don't want to keep you guys too long away from the content that we have planned for today. And we have quite a bit to talk about. But there's something important that I think that I need to talk about, something that I actually experienced um, recently. And when we're talking about Memorial Day, something about it that I feel is relatable is the fact that we have the word respect, right? I respect those that served our country and lost their lives in the line of duty, right? I respect people that have different ideas and opinions. I respect you, Mike. You and I are not going to agree on a couple of these topics we're going to talk about, but I respect your opinion. And I'm not going to, like, just because you're different or have different ideals or maybe you look different, I'm not going to hate on you because of that. Right. So I want to just say a few things and talk about something that many of us have experienced or witnessed, or maybe even said ourselves. Comments, and just to be clear, this is something that I recently had to have a conversation with somebody about, right? And what that is when you make comments about someone's skin color. These comments can often brush off as harmless, even complimentary. You've probably made comments like, "Oh, you have very nice skin," or "You have very exotic skin." Those are some of the comments you may hear, and sometimes have no ill will intent. If you know what I mean. Like, you don't mean to be saying something that's harmful to somebody. But the truth is, even when they are not meant to hurt someone, they can still carry weight. They can still reinforce stereotypes, and yes, they can still be considered racist. To be very clear and blunt, right? Um, let's be clear about something. Racism is not just about hatred or slurs. Racism, it also lives with assumptions, in unconsciousness bias, and in the small things we say without realizing their deeper impact. When someone comments on a person's skin, as I said earlier, saying things like, "Oh, you're very pale," Or and I know I've heard this one before. You don't act black. You know what I mean? Which I don't know why people would say that, but people do. They even say things like you have exotic skin, or oh, I love, not I love. That's not a good one. Um, or something like, for example, as easy as calling somebody, "Oh, you look so orange," right? All of that, even though they may not have an ill will intent behind them, it reduces a person's identity to their color and their skin. And I think that's wrong, right? I don't think you should reduce anyone to their identity and their skin whatsoever, specifically based on skin color. Um, when we highlight someone's skin color unnecessarily, we often reinforce the idea that they're different, or there's something not right based on something that they were born with or can't change. It's a reminder, sometimes subtle, that they are, that being seen who. And I really dislike seeing comments that I see, and not necessarily here, but I'm talking about other forms of communication. Let it be in a Twitter space, or on YouTube, on other channels. Now, I mentioned earlier that I had an experience with this, and it did make me feel a different way, Mike. It did have me feel a certain way because of comments that somebody was making. Now, I understand that that person may not have understood what they're doing, but when you tell someone, please stop, several times over several days, at some point, you have to understand that regardless if you think it's funny and there's no ill will intent behind it, that maybe there's a deeper meaning on why it's important to that person that you stop doing what you're doing, right? I understand that, it may be the person may have not known and didn't realize what they were doing, and that's fine. But that's why it's important to ask questions before you continue to do something after you've been told to stop, right? Ultimately, the reason I'm bringing this up, and this is kind of I don't want to say this is what it is, but does the cleat fit? It's not really a cause, right? Today's thing is a philosophy. Don't reduce somebody because of what they look like. Don't reduce somebody based on where they're from or what their race is or anything like that. And even if you're doing something that you think doesn't affect race or reduces someone or anything, I think if they tell you to stop, you should ask questions. So in the future, ask questions before you continue, because you never know who you're hurting when it really comes down to it, or how you're hurting somebody. I know this is the month of May. We talked about mental health, right? This also can go along with mental health, right? Because the way the person with comments that were being made to me, I personally, it messed with my mental health. It really did, right? And I mentioned that we have to be aware of it, and aware of, don't be afraid to ask questions. We also have to be aware that our actions can disrupt mental health as well, right? So I don't want to just make this about racism, because it really isn't just about that, but it's how comments that you make that aren't always meant to be used in a bad way, but can have an adverse effect. And that's really what today's philosophy is. Think or ask questions before you say something when someone has asked you to stop. What do you think about that, Mike? Any final words on that?
I think it's well said. I mean, I think regardless of what you may, regardless of the intent behind what you're saying, uh, if you're unaware to how it's making the other person feel, especially after being asked to stop, I think it's best you probably just shut your mouth at that point, regardless if you think it is funny or if you think it's harmless or whatever. the power of our words is pretty powerful. And when you say something, and when you're whether you think you're hurting somebody's feelings or not, if you're hurting somebody's feelings and they ask you to stop, you got to stop. I mean, it's just common courtesy. So yeah, but it was well said. Good job, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And look, when it comes down to it, the whole idea of reducing somebody because of their skin color or what they look like or anything is just wrong. It's just wrong altogether, right? Now, you probably looking at me and saying, well, why, you don't, you're not of a person of color, you look white as day, you might say that to me. But there are certain comments made in a certain way that could make me feel a certain way. And that's what was being done. It was using my ethnic background of where my parents or my father is from, and using it to, make comments about the color of my skin. And that's kind of why I want people to think about what they say before, you just go ahead and make the comments, especially when the person told you to stop. So remember, people, stop means no, or no means stop. So both. Oh, we lost Mike. Mike walked away. But let's keep it moving. And I'm gonna wait till he gets back right now. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you listening to me rant on about today's philosophy about stop means stop or no means no. That's kind of the philosophy. But let's keep it moving. Is Texas ducking the national champs? I want to talk about it. Yes, they are, Mike. I can't help but say it. Yes, they are. If you didn't know, we got the schedule release. We found out Texas will be, actually, Ohio State will be hosting the Longhorns in Columbus at the Horseshoe on big noon on a late August Saturday, right? It just came out this past week that Ohio State actually wanted the game to be primetime. They offered it to be primetime and tried to negotiate that with Texas, and Texas said, no, we won't move the game to Sunday so you can play it on primetime, right? Now, some comments to that real quick, and let me just bring that up real quick. So they declined Ohio State's request to move the 2025 season opener. Not only is this a possible big time game, it's a season opener game. It's do or die for both teams, right? They wanted to move it to Sunday so it can be played in a primetime slot of that week. While Texas athletic director Chris Del Conte, I think is how you say his name, Mike, confirmed the decision. Yep. He did not provide specific reasons for rejecting a primetime move. However, several factors may have influenced Texas' decision based on what I'm reading here. Competitive, and this is the one that I really think is the issue. Competitive consideration, right? That's number one on this list. You, just like Ohio State, you have a new quarterback that's going to take the full-time reins. You have Arch Manning, right? We have Julian Saint, right? So both teams are in the same boat. You have all these returning weapons and built very similarly. If you look at the teams, really, they're really built to be exactly the same. They both have a brand new quarterback. My question is Texas more afraid of Arch Manning in primetime than Ohio State is with Julian Saint in primetime?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I don't think the primetime games, I don't think it matters. I think it's moving the day more than anything. College football is supposed to be played on Saturdays. They've been, it's just, I don't know. I don't see a college football game on a Sunday night. It's just not normal. I don't care if it's opening weekend or not. Sundays are NFL, but I think it's just Texas is. I don't care when the game's played. Texas is going to romp all over Ohio State, anyways. But I definitely don't. I don't know. I think I don't think that has anything to do with it, honestly, because Arch Manning's already played in primetime. He's played in primetime twice. when he backed up or when he came in for Quinn Ewers. He may have only played once.
Did
I can't
he
remember.
start
One of
the
the games
game?
was a night game.
Did he start
Yeah,
the
it
game?
was when Quinn. It was when Quinn was out. The 2 games
Okay,
that he
so he
played.
started. Okay, so he has
Yeah,
some starting experience. Okay.
yeah, so I really don't think the primetime has anything. I don't think that really has anything to do with it. I think they're confident
Cool.
in the team, regardless what time it's played at. I think it just has to do with the day. And granted, I don't care who the opponent is. You move a game to Sunday. That's a short week in college football for the next game that I guess they play San Jose State. But it changes the whole travel schedule. It changes the whole practice schedule. It changes everything. And this late in the season to do it, or I don't know when they were negotiating it, but they already knew the schedule, and so I don't know. I don't know why I don't know why Texas said no to it. I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't really care whether it is a primetime game or a big noon kickoff or whatever. And honestly, the last time Texas was in Ohio State at night, they kicked their butts. They beat them with Vince Young and Lima Swede. So I just that and maybe it's a revenge factor that Ohio State was thinking
Mhm.
about that. I don't know, but
But
yeah.
here's
I
the
mean,
thing, though. There's a couple of
I do
different
think Del
factors.
Conte. I
Yeah,
do
I'm
think.
sorry.
Hang on. I do think Del Conte's comments. I'm gonna read them really quick. I think it was kind of laughable. He said, "Why would I want to move the game to Sunday night and have a short week for our boys who were just told we're kicking off at high noon? It was never about moving the time of day. It was just, hey, do you want to move the day? And I go, we're not moving. We're contractually obligated to this day. That was it. But the craziness is, oh my God, they said no. I just said no to Sunday. I gotta go to church. I mean, hot dang. I think that's laughable.
Well, it is kind of laughable, but there's a couple things. There's some holes in your argument, just a little bit there. Number one, Texas regime back when you guys beat us in prime time is a lot different now, right? Different head coach, different players, different coaches all aboard. I want to say even Del Conte wasn't there at that time either. Just to be clear, so it's not like it's any of the people thinking that's been there for that long. Not even on the Ohio State side. The whole regime is all different coaches, different athletic director, the whole 10 yards. Now, I mean, for me, this is the way I'm looking at it, right? You're on the biggest national stage ever. What's up, buddy? You're on the biggest national stage ever, and why? I'm sorry, not national stage. I shouldn't say that. You're taking a game that should be on the biggest national stage. It's meant for a primetime game, right? And you're looking to play it on a Saturday at big noon, when really it should be a primetime night game. Now, you mentioned college football is meant to be on Saturdays. You might be right, but for the past couple of years, they've been playing college football games on the first Sundays and even on a Monday. To be honest, go back and look. Even this past year and the year prior, they had games in that first week because NFL doesn't start for another month at that point. Almost another month. It's like 2 weeks later. And I'll make a joke with you. You said that, oh dang, he has to go to church. That's what he said. Well, our next subject that we're really going to talk about, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about, Texas and the big money they have, they could just they have enough money, they can bring the whole church to Ohio and still have, Sunday church and have the game at night. That's just my opinion. So, so that's kind of where I'm going with this, is that you have a chance to make more money, you have a chance to get better exposure. I think they're afraid that if they lose in prime time, if it comes down to a situation where they're on the bubble to make the playoffs, if they lose on prime time, it will look worse than if they were to lose on a big noon game. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that the committee would hold it a lot higher. So you understand where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just had to snap it back in. It's good. Hang on, buddy. You're good. It works. I promise. It's not going to come off again. Okay. Anyways, talking to Debbie's kid. Sorry, but no, but I don't know, man. I want to know why Ohio State wanted to move it anyways. Like it's a big noon kickoff. Those are the first game of the season. It's at noon. It's on Fox. Like that's the slot for big games most of the time. Yeah, I get you have primetime games when they're conference games, but big noon is notorious for, especially on opening weekend. I mean, you're the first game of opening weekend. Like that's the biggest. They put the biggest and best matchup on opening weekend. But anyways, but that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I also think that what they're looking at is Ohio State. Ohio State's the national champs. Ohio State's probably in the looking at it like, yeah, we need to be showcased. We need the primetime exposure. We need the money. You know what I mean?
Why do they need it? Why do they need it? If they're the national champions, they don't need it. They want it. They're just being petty. I think it's both schools being petty, and it just adds to the bad blood that's going to be thrown out.
Maybe you're right. I guess for me as a fan, I personally want them to play it on prime time because I think that would be an awesome experience.
I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to lie. Primetime games are great, but it's the first game of the season. Like it's literally the first game at big noon on Fox. There's nothing else that nobody's going to be talking about before it except for that game. And then after the game, we get to either celebrate or drink away our sadness the rest of the day. But I think it's fitting that it's the first game of the season.
I personally think, and this is my fandom speaking, I personally think the Texas and the Texas fans want it on Saturday, so it gives them a whole day to go to church to cry their sorrows out and not have to go to work the very next day. I think that's.
I need this game. I need this game to be here already. It just needs to be here. I've got too many Ohio State friends that are fans of Ohio State, and I need Texas to stomp on them so I can stop hearing about this. Man.
So for people that don't know, me being a huge Ohio State fan and Mike being a huge Texas fan, you could imagine the banter does kind of go wild from time to time. I will say in that
hey Dave, if you're listening, you're right there with Ali, man. Like y'all can both kick rocks until that game's over because Texas is gonna beat y'all, and I don't want to hear y'all crying. I don't want to hear you sad. I don't want to hear you making excuses. Texas is gonna win that game, and I book it. Take it to the bank.
Just remind me to get your address, Mike, so I can send you a box of tissues after that game. So that being said. Let's talk about the big money, okay? Because we do need to kind of talk about Sarkisian and the whole thing about the money is kind of a thing, right? So let's actually talk about that, and I have some information about that we can talk. So the reason I brought up the money that they could move the whole church to Ohio for a weekend, and it wouldn't be a big deal. Texas Longhorn head coach Steve Sarkisian has not publicly addressed the reports regarding the football program projected $35 to $40 million expenditure on its 2025 roster. You guys spent a lot of money from what it looks like. The figure encompasses a $20.5 million revenue sharing allotment and payouts throughout the Texas One Fund, reflecting the significant financial investment in college athletics through revenue sharing and name, image, and likeness deals. So you guys are spending a lot of money. And everybody was on Ohio State.
But it's not. But see, that's the thing, though. It's not Texas spending the money. It's the NIL deals that are bringing the money. Yes, their players are getting money, but Texas isn't paying it.
No.
Deals
okay.
Is what's
To be fair, NILs are not necessarily paid by the college. There's some money that is paid by the college. A lot of it comes through different fund programs and stuff. Like, so I know Ohio State has several programs and stuff of companies that back NIL deals and stuff for their players and whatnot. So you are right. I think it's just funny how you guys are spending so much money like that, right? When you guys everybody in the nation hated on Ohio State calling us the $20 million roster, and we weren't even the highest paid. It was Oregon and Texas that were the highest paid roster last year. We just need, somebody asked Brian Hartline about the recruits we bring in and who we bring in and who we pay, right? Well, he said something that was really, really smart of him to say, and I really understand it. He mentioned it's not always about bringing in a 5-star recruit because they're a 5-star recruit. And it's not always about paying players like that. Sometimes it's about finding the right fit and the right player and the right recruit. I can't help it that Ohio State knows how to properly invest their money, whereas other teams don't do that well, I should say. But it does look like Oregon and Texas just, here's the money, here's the money.
You're still riding high on Ohio State winning the national championship. It's fine. Yes, you should be.
Let me ask you a question though, Mike. Who's the national champion at this point right now? Who's
Ohio
the defending
State.
national champion?
Riding high. Yeah, Ohio State.
Until we're no longer the defending national championship, I'm gonna ride high, right? And then when we don't win it again, if we don't back to back it, then I'll be like, okay, I'll start from scratch and go from there.
You're not going back to back. I'd bet $1 million if I had it.
I'm not going to take your bet, but still, we'll see. We'll see. And that's a conversation for another time, really, because they are looking at expanding that football playoff. So it's funny how Ohio State won the first playoff. Ohio State won the first expanded playoff. So at this point, I'll probably win the next expanded playoffs based on that logic. It's just pointed out.
That's funny.
It is kind of funny. So in response to the evolving landscape of college football finances, Sarkisian's own contract has been adjusted. That's kind of interesting. The University of Texas Board of Regents approved a raise in contract extension for Sarkisian, well deserved, by the way, increasing his salary from $10.8 million in 2025, with an annual raises leading to $12.3 million by 2031. That's really not that much of a difference annually, if you think about it. So it's not that big of a raise, but I do think he deserves to have, the money he gets. Sarkisian is a really good head coach. Everything he's done, how he's built that Texas team, very, very good. And he's done it in a short period of time. So props to him. The substantial investment in the football programs are sparked discussions about the sustainability of such spending. That's the question. How long can these teams continue to spend this money? And how are they able to spend this money is also very, interesting. Analysts, including ESPN's Heather Dinich, has expressed concerns that current financial model may not be sustainable in the long term, especially in the impending implementation of a $20.5 million salary cap as part of the House vs. NCAA settlement. I don't know how I feel about the salary cap.
I've been saying I need to cap the NIL for a couple months now, just because it's starting to get kind of ridiculous. You got college players making more. You got college players making more than 40-50% of the NFL players. I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. There needs to be a cap. But I want to say the biggest problem, in my opinion, is not the cap. It's the, hey, I can move to any team I want to any year I want. The transfer portal is the bigger problem to me. Because, think about it. That team decided to spend the money, invest in a player, and then that player decides to get up and leave before the season even starts. Who else is out there that you can replace them with? That's why I think it's not fair that you can just transfer portal, year in and year out. That's where I think that they need to put the caps on. The NILs, maybe there's, I want to say maybe there's a max that players should be able to be paid, but not necessarily a max that the team, is allowed to spend in totality, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if I have the money, I should be able to spend it on who I want. But I do think there should be a max on how much players can get. That's where I think the max needs to come in.
Yeah, I agree that. I agree with that. Maybe
So,
per position cap.
yeah, maybe something like that. That's kind of similar to what we have now. There's a market, in the NFL. So maybe that's something that they can look at. What are your thoughts on the big money conversation that we've had here? Like, what do you think? Do you think Texas is spending the dough and it's going wild crazy? Is it something to be concerned about, or is it a nothing burger?
It's nothing. I mean, they're well. I mean, to be honest, Texas has the most money to spend. Their most profitable college university across all sports. Period. I think they got like 8 national championships in the SEC this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just I don't know. I think it's nothing. I mean, at this day and age, it's legal, so why make a big deal?
I'm just telling you right now. You just gave the whole NCAA and all the fans and everybody freedom to say, "Oh, there's Texas and that $40 million roster that didn't win." That's just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, I get it. I
Hey,
get it.
that's what I went through an entire season this past season. That $20 million roster. You know what I mean? We weren't even the highest, which I didn't understand why everyone brought it up to us. I think it's just because of who we are. Like, for example, if it was you guys, everyone would be saying the same thing just because it's Texas, right?
Yep.
Oh, just because it's Ohio State. You know what I mean? Why can't it be Alabama or some of these other teams? You know what I mean? It is what it is. Now to the next conversation, Mike. This one's kind of going to be an interesting one. Is Mike Leach a Hall of Fame coach? What are your thoughts?
Yes, he changed the game.
He did implement, he did pioneer, I should say, the air raid offense, right?
Yep.
So that's something, his offensive strategy transformed college football today. He has an impressive coaching record, which is the main reason why he wasn't inducted to the Hall of Fame earlier, is primarily because of the fact that he had less than 60% winning record, from what I understand. I understand that was the rule, and they just recently changed that rule, so now he can be inducted. So over 21 seasons as a Texas Tech, Washington State, and Mississippi State head coach, he has a record of 158 to 107 losses, 158 wins. That's pretty impressive. He's right at 59.596 winning percentage. So about, if you round up, it's 60% winning percentage. He's appeared in 17 bowl games and has accolades such as Big 12 Coach of the Year, Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Just some of his accolades. So that's pretty impressive. His mentorship and coaching tree should tell you why he deserves the Hall of Fame. Right?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
We're talking Lincoln Riley. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach at some point. Sonny Dykes, Dana Holgerson. I can never say his last name correctly. Those are some of the names that he's, mentored and as part of his coaching tree. And he's a cultural icon. A lot of people call this guy the pirate, from what I understood. I never understood why they called him a pirate. It's something I guess I have to.
He loved pirates. Those were like his favorite thing in the world were pirates. Anything that had to do with pirates, he was the pirate.
Yeah, I mean that's something that's really interesting. I think he deserves it. I kind of glad they removed this whole winning record requirement, to be honest, because you think about it. Sometimes players and coaches, they may not have the record that they need, right? But they have everything else. They could be some guy that, had 800 yards in one game. Now, that's never happened, but I'm just saying, let's say that happened. I think that guy would deserve to be, that's an accolade. That's a record. So they should allow that person in said Hall of Fame, for example, just for that. You know what I mean? We've seen games, and there was a guy that played for Arizona or Arizona State, one of the two. I want to say this guy had like 8 touchdowns in a game, running back, played for Miami, I want to say, for a hot minute. You know, a guy like that does that in a game, that's so impressive. I think they should allow him for something like that. It doesn't always have to be your career winning. There's some coaches that I think that were great coaches, but they didn't last in the game that long. Maybe they were in it for maybe 3-4 seasons as a head coach. That I kind of felt provided. It's not always about what you provided overall. Sometimes I think it can be the little things that get you into the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion.
Mike Leach has, like, okay, wins, losses, no, doesn't get in. But what he did for the game, his coaching tree, the way he changed in college offenses. I mean, I remember Texas Tech, they put up 500 yards passing, and it was nothing. I mean, he did it with Graham Harrell. You go, like, so many quarterbacks that played under him in that system that put up ridiculous stats. And then now that system is all over college football. I mean, he if it wasn't for Mike Leach, you know, we'd still have the triple option or the speed option, whatever. The spread offense, but not the air raid is just that's, I mean, and honest to God, that system has made a lot of quarterbacks a lot of money in the NFL because they adapted, or the teams that they played on took some of that and put it into their offense and it allowed them to have better stats and everything. So I do think he should be in.
Let me ask you this. With what Ryan Day has done at Ohio State, and the only reason I'm using him, I know I don't want you thinking I'm trying to go on this Ohio State hype type thing, but I'm using that as an example because he's one of the few coaches that over a period of time, you look at his record and you're like, holy shit, does Ryan Day belong in the Hall of Fame, or is he on that Hall of Fame trajectory? Let's just put it that way.
He's on the trajectory. He's on the trajectory, yes, but he's going to have to win 3 to get in, because Mike Leach, see, the difference between a guy like Ryan Day and Mike Leach is Ryan Day's got premier talent on his team. Mike Leach never had premier talent. Ryan Day's record is what it should be when you coach at Ohio State, when you coach at Alabama, when you coach at Texas, when you coach at Georgia. You should have the type of record that Ryan Day has. But his record right now, hell yeah, he's on the trajectory to be in the Hall of Fame. But he needs to. I think he needs to win 3 championships. And then he's a for sure Hall of Famer. But just getting 1, I don't know, because you know, if he doesn't get back to the national championship, then I don't think he would get it. But if he can get back twice, maybe even 3 times, and at least have 1 win, then there's a good case for him to get in.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. I agree. I think he definitely deserves it. It's just interesting, and it makes me wonder, because of removing this, who else is going to be able to get into the Hall of Fame? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, for example, hold on, let me find his name real quick. Where is his name?
That was loud. Yep.
No, never mind. I had someone else in mind, but he definitely has the winning percentage. So I was just curious, like, what you know, would he be able to get into the Hall of Fame now as well? But it's just interesting what other coaches can get in. You know, it's just I find that to be type of fascinating. Now everybody's favorite part of the episodes, the bottom line, right? I know we had
line is this is gonna be Texas. Boom, boom, boom. And then Ohio State's gonna be out for the count.
No, I think Texas. I think Ohio State has some Cowboys on their team that are going to come and wrangle those Longhorns down and tie them up. So I'm not worried at all.
You're
Not
so
worried
clever.
at all. Speaking of teams that are getting 1-2 down to the count, next week is the actually not next week. Maybe it's next week. I want to say it's either next week or the week after is going to be the big fight that of a hammer coming. To be honest, Michigan versus the NCAA. That's going to be really interesting to figure out what happens. What is the penalty going to be? Are we finally going to find out? You know, are we going to find out everything, Mike? I think that is what is going to be really interesting. Oh, and it looks like we lost Mike. Hey, everybody, do me a favor, okay? I know I should have done this earlier in the show, but do me a favor and make sure you hit like and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell if you're new. This is an off-script show that we just decided to do on Friday. So I appreciate everyone that's coming by. Leave comments below. If there's something you want us to talk about, put it in the chat. Right, definitely put it in the comments below this. If there's no chat that you can put it in, we want to know. We want feedback. I know we got some feedback about my super long intro. Don't worry, that's getting cut up. We are coming out with a new intro and some new branding. And stay tuned. We got some big news. I'll go ahead and break that out right now. We're now going to be not only here on YouTube, not only on Spotify. You're also going to be able to find us soon on Kick. Kick is something, and just stay tuned for that. We're working that out. We're going to be on Kick eventually as well. But that being said, college football. We got like, what is it? Less than 100 days to go till college football. Cannot wait. It's going to be really interesting. Let me see if there's any thing in the bottom line that we can really talk about. I know there was some new commitments recently, but I think we're going to wait to the next episode because that is going to be very big. And also, if you're looking for more content, you can also find me and Mike also on the TFTG network. Go to tftgnetwork.com. And there you can find everything TFTG related. You can go to our actual YouTube channel, the Finn's Tailgate. You can find us on there. I know I'm going to be having a live show that I do every Saturday night called Club Exhale. It's primarily a Miami Dolphins channel, but we talk all sports. We talk about anything that's going on. Definitely check us out there. I know this season is going to be very wild for Club Exhale. Club Exhale is a different type of show. It's more like a nightclub. Everybody's having fun. You know, it's a tailgate. You know, that's pretty much what it comes down to. So definitely check us out there. What else can we talk about while we wait for Mike to come back?
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Great.
I ate some Mexican for lunch, and it came back with a roaring vengeance.
I understand that. All right. Anyway, bottom line, man. I had some commitments that I wanted to talk about, but I think I'm going to wait till the next episode because there'll be quite a few of them we can talk about.
Don't forget, we're going to be doing a live show on 2 Thursdays from now. That's going to be fun. Yeah, we're going to be kicking off our first live show on 4th and 10. I think it's going to be a blast. We're going to get the word out, put some marketing out, some promotions out. So those of you watching this one, or if you're listening to it on Spotify, wherever you're finding us, look forward to that because that's going to be a fun one. And we're going to it'll be a blast. It'll be fun.
That reminded me, I'm going to try to get some special guests on that show, and I would implore you to do the same. So we can definitely, that show's going to be very big. Thank you for reminding me. I did tell the audience that they can start finding us on Kick soon, coming to you new or soon.
I heard your beautiful voice. I heard your beautiful voice the whole time. You just couldn't see me or hear me. It's great.
I feel hurt. You're saying my voice is beautiful. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Ooh, making you feel sassy, huh?
Yeah, just kidding. Well, what else can I say? The bottom line is you're
Okay.
going to be able to find us everywhere. Make sure you hit the like button. That's what I need you guys to do. Share. I know he's saying Longhorns all day. Go Buckeyes. I don't care what anybody tells me.
You can't even do hook 'em right because you're not a Longhorn.
I
You're
can't
all
do
doing
them right. That's as
There
far
you
as
go.
I
Widen
can.
those fingers
That's
out.
dude. I can do that. Can you do this?
Yeah, with both hands.
I can also.
Yeah. Small hands for a small man. It's fine.
Can you do that? I'm
No, but I
dislocating
have
and
a crazy
relocating my
thumb.
thumb.
But I have a crazy thumb. It don't straighten.
Oh, you're definitely right. Wow. Wow, that is
Yeah, it
crazy.
doesn't.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So whatever. All right, that's the bottom line. Y'all have a great night.
Yeah, you all have a great night. Hit the like button, like I
Peace.
said. And until next time, y'all have a good one.